Hello team and welcome back to the channel. So as requested about the video on day-to-day task of a DevOps engineer, so here it is, okay. And this video is not like just copy paste from internet. Basically, even I have worked as a DevOps engineer, and at this point I am working as a cloud DevOps engineer. So whatever like my experience I have in this field, and whatever like my friends who are working with me, their experience, so I have just compiled it in a list and I will share with you in detail as possible. You just need to make sure that you are listening the whole thing, and you just need, maybe if you want, you can just note it down, because it's going to be really useful, okay. Because in interview, they like one of the most asked questions is that what were your day-to-day tasks in your project, okay. So you need to mention and you need to explain them, okay, these were my tasks that I used to do, and whatever I did, whatever my seniors and my teammates used to do, so same thing I'm going to explain to you, and that also you can note it down, okay. So with that being said, let's get started. Also, meanwhile, if you are new on the channel, make sure to subscribe. We are uploading videos on daily basis, at least we try to. And also, like I am running a new DevOps series, which is 30 days of DevOps, and where I am trying to cover complete DevOps plus cloud DevOps, which is going to be really useful. So if you are interested, you can just open the playlist and watch the videos, okay. So it's still in progress, like we are on day 16, I think. So you can just start, and as soon as you start, you can just start implementing things on daily basis, and that will be really useful, okay. So with that being said, let's get started. Okay team, so starting with the first task that I used to do. So first is obviously the CI/CD pipeline implementation. But when we talk about CI/CD pipeline implementation, we don't need to say that every day we used to create pipelines, okay. So basically what I used to do, I was working as a like shared resource. So I was working in multiple projects. So one of the projects was like completely new. So in that case, like we started writing pipeline from scratch, and on daily basis we are like modifying it basically, like because every day you cannot write a new pipeline every day. So like first day we created a basic structure of pipeline, 1 or 2 stages we added, okay, and slowly we were modifying it on daily basis. So at some point, like after quite some time, it was like completely done, and from on that day we make sure that it is running fine, it is working fine, and those things, okay. So that happens when you are working in a completely new project, okay. But as I mentioned, I was working in I was working in multiple projects. So other project where pipeline were already existing. So in that case, what I used to do, like we receive request ki, okay, at this point you know that ki DevSecOps is in trend and security tools are very much to look out for, okay. So we received request that we need to make our pipeline more secure, okay. We received that request. So what we did, we started adding more stages, okay. More stages means, like for example, there are certain other tools like at the time when I was working, so OS dependency check and Trivy, Anchor, those were not too much used, okay. So what we did, we started modifying the pipeline, adding new stages like Trivy, OWASP and Anchor, okay. And these tools were used to make our pipeline secure, and like secure stages like scanning source code, scanning application packages, then scanning Docker images, even scanning Kubernetes clusters, okay. So in that case, like when project was already the pipelines were already existing, in that case we just used to modify, okay. Modify also directly you cannot go and do on production server, so we have lower environments, okay. Usually in a proper company there are like 5 environments, okay, which I think I have already mentioned you in previously. So 5 environments are like dev, QA, PPD, production and DR, okay. So we used to do this kind of testing first on like the dev environment, which is the lower environment, and there we used to create the pipelines, like basically modify the pipelines by adding stages, okay. So if everything is fine, then we would do the same thing on higher environment, and after like testing and everything done, when everything is working fine, then finally we would implement it on production server, okay. So this is one of the tasks, okay. So first task I mentioned, like when you are in a new project, you will write a new pipeline from scratch, then you need to modify it. Second task, like when project were already existing and pipelines were already existing, in that case what we used to do is modify the pipeline by adding new stages, okay, depending on the requirement, right. Third thing related to CI/CD pipeline is maintaining the CI/CD pipeline, okay. So there were many pipelines which were used to provision resources or create any like some kind of products, okay, which let's say we are selling, okay. So in that case, I need to make sure I need to maintain that pipeline and make sure it is running fine, okay. So sometimes most of the pipelines are set up in a such a way that they will run or trigger at specific intervals of time, okay. That is like based on cron job. So I need to make sure okay, at this point if it is running, if it is running fine or not. So for that case, for that thing, what we used to do, we have set up like notifications. Okay, so whenever the pipeline gets triggered, if it is success, we will receive the mail okay, pipeline is success with little bit of log, and even if it failed, then also we would receive the like notification if it is failed. Okay, so in that case we will open the Jenkins and check the console log, and then we will try to fix it based on the log. Okay, so these three tasks were the main things that I used to do related to Jenkins CI/CD pipelines. Okay, now coming to the second task. Okay, so next basically like we were fixing issues or like troubleshooting basically based on the Jira tickets. So if you are already experienced or even not experienced, let me tell you, like every work is tracked through a ticket. Okay, so whenever some specific task need to be done, so a ticket will be created and a description will be mentioned in that ticket, and ticket will be assigned to a specific person. Okay, so when that ticket is, let's say it is assigned to me, and I see in the description key it is written my pipeline is failing with error 134. Okay, so I receive that ticket and I will access the portal where Jenkins is running. I will open the log, I will check the issue. Okay, so I know ki error 134 means ki memory issue is there. Okay, so I will try to fix it, and once fixed I will just update the ticket. Okay, so this is one way of working like that happens. Basically every sort of task that you do in DevOps or any other projects, even a ticket is created. Okay, and everything like description and everything will be in the ticket, and based on ticket you will start working. Okay, so as I mentioned that I was a shared resource, so there were other teams, team of developers who used to create a project, a proper application. Okay, and my task was to do the deployment. Okay, so in that case what they used to do, they will just raise a ticket ki, hello team, we have committed the changes in the repository, kindly start with the deployment to specific server. Like a specific server means like which environment they wants the deployment to. So let's say they said ki it's finally like code commit is done, kindly deploy the changes to Q environment. Okay, so they will raise a ticket. Once I see the ticket, I will take the ticket in my name and I will start working on it. Okay, so in that case my task is that ki I need to deploy the changes that they have committed to a specific server or environment. Okay, so that also like I can just start with the pipeline, whatever changes required there I will do, and I will deploy the changes to a QA server or any other environment. Okay, then other thing is that since we were supporting several engagements. Okay, so they were also working using Jenkins, SonarQube and other tools. So whenever they are facing issue ki their Jenkins is not at all working. Okay, Jenkins is not, that tool itself is not working. Again they will raise a ticket, mention in the description ki my tool is not working. I will take the ticket and I will check the tool from backend. Okay, so when I say ki I will check the tool from backend, what does it mean? So basically like our applications, let's say, are deployed inside Kubernetes. Okay, so in Kubernetes, you know, like any application deployed that exists inside pods. So what I will do, I will check the see the name of their Jenkins. Okay, I will go in Kubernetes backend, I will see Jenkins pod, I will open it log. Okay, every pod has its logs, so you can just click and open it. So once I open the log, I will try to go line by line and see what exactly issue is there. Okay, so based on the issue, maybe like some plugin is like depreciated and it is causing problems, then I can just remove the plugin. Okay, so based on the logs I can fix it. So my task is if any DevOps tool is not working which client is using, then I need to fix it. Okay, so that also used to come into my task, and these are like on daily, these used to happen on daily basis. Okay, like since I was supporting around like 400 or 500 clients, me and my team also, so like some issue definitely used to come on daily basis, so we used to just connect to engagement and we used to fix that. Okay, so that comes inside troubleshooting. Okay, so inside troubleshooting we would fix pipelines, then we used to fix application pods, then we used to fix the DevOps tool itself if it is not working fine. Okay, and there could be like thousands of reasons a tool does not work fine. Okay, so these were like a list of some of the tasks. Let me share you some other tasks that I used to perform. Okay, so next thing that I used to do is POC. Okay, in case you don't know what exactly is POC, POC means proof of concept. So in corporate level, whenever like a project team they want to like add a new feature or explore something, they will ask a team member ki take like 1 month time or 1.5 month time and explore this, make a like proper implementation of it and make a document of it. Okay, for example, like one of the POC that was assigned to me was GitOps. Okay, some of you might already know GitOps. So my task was that I need to explore GitOps, I need to implement it, and then I need to prepare a documentation of all the steps involved on implementing GitOps. Okay, so for me it's like it took around like 1.5 months or 2 months, where like I started exploring, making notes and like implementing it basically using a project. And once everything was done, then I would give a session to my teammates as well as my manager and whoever was interested in that. So a session involved basically to show them implementation, how it is done, basically a demo. Okay, and along with the documentation also. Okay, so in using that, what happens a new feature whichever needs to be added, it is like tested, demo is done, implementation is done, then they can add it using like pipeline in their existing project. Okay, so POC is also very important. Like I used to do I used to do like one POC in a month at least. Okay, so POC are also very important. So POC, it's not daily basis, it is assigned to you once, and you can like do it in a period of time like 1 month or 2 months, like it's like that. Okay, basically you need to create a complete demo of a specific tool, whatever they are assigning you. Okay, so other task that I used to do is basically like I was after like 2 years I became a senior person there. So like fresher used to get hired and lots of even senior people hired. So it is very normal that you train freshers as well as the new joiners basically. Okay, so on daily basis it's like 1 hour or like 1.5 hour I used to give KT sessions. KT is like knowledge transfer. So I used to give them overview about the project, how the project works, what are the tasks that we need to perform, in what way we need to do these kind of things. Okay, so it does not matter if the person is fresher or like senior. The only thing that matters, if the person is new joiner to your project, you need to guide them properly. Okay, so usually lots of people like come and go. So it's like that on an average in a month, like once or twice I used to give KT sessions and like guide them basically. But in case if you are senior person and if you are having a fresher in your team, then you need to help them a lot, because they are new and they basically are not aware of the complete corporate culture, how things work. Okay, so that also it's like one of the tasks that I used to perform on regular basis, guiding them. Also like whenever like some task is assigned to my freshers or something, if they are not aware, they will just reach out hi Aditya, could you help me with this? So that also happened. Okay, so consider this when you are going to resume interview, you can just mention I used to train or basically use the word mentor. I used to mentor new joiners as well as my team members who are freshers. Okay, so that also you can mention. Okay, then coming to deployments, I know I covered CI/CD implementation, but when I talk about deployment, that basically means deploying the changes to different server. Okay, so and basically what I'm going to explain you now, like how deployments work for different environments. Okay, so as I mentioned, there are 5 environments, which is dev environment, QA environment, then PPD, then production, which is the live environment, and finally DR, which is disaster recovery. Okay, so basically what happens when any new feature or any new like code needs to be added, we do it in the lower environment, which is QA environment, dev environment. Okay, for the first time it will be added inside dev environment. Once it is successful, we will go to QA and PPD. Okay, so deployment to QA, PPD and dev environment can be done on like any day, it's normal. Okay, because they are lower environment and they are internal sort of environment, so they are maintained by us, so we just do them for testing. Okay, so the deployments to these lower environments can be done on any day, it's fine. But when it comes to do the deployment on production server, so in that case basically we need to take permission, we need to like get proper approval, we need to get a time slot on this day we will do the deployment on production server. Okay, so it's like that I was doing the deployments on QA and lower environments on almost daily basis. Like whatever even small changes there, we would just commit the changes to repository and we will do the deployments to lower environment. Once everything is done, once testing is done and everything is completed, then finally we would get approval and then we will do the deployment to production server. Okay, so it's like on production server, it's like once in a 2 week or once in a month we used to do the deployment. Okay, so this is how deployment used to work, and this is how we used to do the deployments on different environments. Okay, Okay, now talking about cloud DevOps, because I have been a part of that as well. So when I joined in cloud DevOps project, it was completely new. So initially what we were doing is basically like exploring things. Okay, so for example, when we were doing for like writing the pipelines for the first time, so in that case what happened ki I was told ki you need to prepare a demo sort of thing for like building and deployment of application. Okay, and they defined ki okay, these are the tools that you need to use. For example, you need to do the deployment using Ansible, you need to provision resources using Terraform and all. Okay, so my task was simply take a proper project, which was like my office project, and I took that project, pushed it to repository, started writing the pipeline, and started do the CI and CD. Okay, basically like writing the CI pipeline to build the application, then using release pipeline to deploy the application. Okay, so this I was doing for when I was working with Azure DevOps. Okay, so in Azure DevOps it was new. So in Azure DevOps, like we were like basically writing CI and CD things and deploying the applications, basically internal applications. Okay, so that also I used to do. But at this point, from what I heard from my friends, see, I always say ki make sure that you learn cloud DevOps also, because cloud is the future. No matter what someone says anything else, but in reality, when you go into a corporate level, you will see cloud is the future, because everywhere they are migrating their existing project from their own premises to a cloud server. Okay, so when I say like migration, so that also used to happen. Okay, like most of my team members who are working as a cloud DevOps engineer, at this point they are basically working for the migration. Like there are so many projects and they are helping to migrate it to cloud. Okay, so this is one of the one of my previous team members who used to work with me. He is also in another company, so he is working basically to migrate the projects to cloud server. Okay, and that as per him, like he is doing almost once a day it is happening. Okay, so that in case you have experience on that, you can mention ki I used to migrate projects. At some point even I will show how that is done and all. Okay, but at this point like that happens. Okay, next what I used to do is pod management. Okay, so when I say pod management, that means like let's say our most of my applications were deployed on Kubernetes. Okay, so and we are literally like giving services of the application, we are deploying the application and giving the access to engagement so that they can use it. Okay, so in that what happens, like for example, let's say I have a platform which has application of Jenkins and SonarQube. Okay, so I shared the link to engagement and engagement is using that application. Okay, but he sees that SonarQube is not at all accessible. Okay, so as mentioned earlier, they will raise a ticket will come to me and I will check in Kubernetes backend, open SonarQube pod. Okay, and then I will see the logs. I will see what exactly issue is coming. Okay, so one of the most common issues that I faced with SonarQube, because of which it was like always down, is that key when you are upgrading SonarQube, some issue used to occur in basically what happened. There are multiple versions of the same plugin. Okay, so you only think if there are like two versions of the same plugin, SonarQube could not decide which plugin to use, and because of that reason it kept crashing. Okay, so in that case what I used to do, I used to remove the lower version of that plugin from the SonarQube and then restart the SonarQube, and that got fixed. Okay, so this is one of the troubleshooting things that I used to do. Another thing that happens, like in YAML file we have defined our Docker images. Okay, so when you try to deploy using that YAML file, it fails. Okay, so when I try to check the error, it shows the image pullback of error, which basically happens when the access to the Docker image is not present. Okay, that means you are not able to fetch the Docker image for deployment. So in that case, that error comes, the image pullback of error. So in that case, what I used to do, I used to check if credentials are present or not for accessing or fetching the Docker image. Okay, and if I could find how to mention credential and everything, then I would fix it. Then it is fixed, then application could be deployed. Okay, so troubleshooting is a big part of DevOps engineer, because troubleshooting teaches you a lot. Really, most of my DevOps thing I learned through troubleshooting only. Okay, so this is what Kubernetes pod management, you could say, I used to do. Key pod management, like making sure the application is up and running all the time and it is working fine. Okay, so this is also one of the tasks that I used to do on daily basis. Okay, so another thing that happens on regular basis almost every single day is DSTUM. So DSTUM basically means daily stand-up meeting, and that happens in every project. Basically what happens, there is a meeting scheduled for 15 minutes or 30 minutes where every team member will come. They will give updates. Okay, this is my task. I have completed this task this much, like 50% I have completed, and it will take 2 more days to complete. Basically DSTUM is like simply giving updates and all, and that happens on daily basis to make sure that everyone is on the same page, who is working on what, who is doing on what task, and all those things. So DSTUM happens in every company on daily basis. Timing is different obviously, but that happens every day. Okay, where you need to give updates. Okay, so that also happened with me, and I used to give updates. Okay, then we have another very important task, which is using IAC tools. Okay, so when I was working with Azure project, so in that case what happened, like any client would come, they would request me ki I need 3 VMs that should be having Maven, Java, Nexus and SonarQube pre-installed. Okay, so if you know ki okay, there are clients who need these many tools, what we used to do, we started creating Ansible script, and like the script Ansible script was basically a playbook having all the commands that once we run will create basically install certain tools inside a VM. Okay, so as I mentioned, like some client will come, they will ask me ki hi Aditya, I need 4 VMs that should be having these many tools installed. Okay, so I have the script, I will get the details of their VM, access to that VM, and directly run the Ansible script, and I will just like give them. Okay, so this is one of the tasks that I used to do. And another thing is that ki Terraform also I used to use. So for Terraform, like we would receive request ki I need VMs or I need this kind of resources created. So using Terraform script I used to create, and I used to just share the resources. Okay, so basically provisioning the resources and sharing with engagements, that was one of the tasks that I used to do. Okay, so IAC tools also I used to use, but the thing is ki that happened not on daily basis. Like when an engagement comes, ask ki okay, I have this requirement, kindly help me. Okay, so on that day, on that case, like I would like work with IAC tools and help. Okay, so that also happens, like that used to happen once in like bi-weekly or so, because not every day every engagement will come and say ki give me this many VMs. Okay, but yeah, this was a regular task that happened. Okay, next we have monitoring. Okay, so since we are like sharing platforms integrated with multiple DevOps tools, so my task is to make sure everything is working fine, right? One way is already like checking everything inside the Kubernetes pod. Another way to keep like monitoring things is through Grafana. Okay, so it's like once in a while I would just run queries on inside Grafana to like monitor the tools, how they are working. For example, let's say ki I have like 15 GitLab. I have like created 15 GitLab instances shared with engagements. Okay, and there are some engagements who are working with GitLab, and some are not at all working from almost a year. Okay, so in that case what I used to do is run some query and check when was the last commit done inside GitLab. Okay, so let's say if some GitLab was used almost a year ago, like, so in that case I understand ki okay, this GitLab has not been used from quite some time. In that case I would reach out to engagement and ask them ki if you are still using, if you are not using, we need to like disable the GitLab or like remove it. Okay, so that happened because I was using this Grafana for monitoring, and in this way like I used to use Grafana. Okay, this is not just for GitLab, for other tools also I used to check when it was last used using by running the queries, and then I used to get the information, okay, this was last used almost a year ago. Then I would connect to engagement, let them know, ask them basically if you are still using or not. If you are not using, let us know, we will remove the instance. Okay, because keeping the instance for almost a year up and running, it takes some storage, it takes like lots of resources being used. To save some resources, I can just run query and check which instance is being used, which instance is not being used. Okay, So that happened because with the help of Grafana and other monitoring tools. Okay, so final thing that I used to do is whatever things I used to perform, we used to maintain a documentation. Okay, so on corporate level it was done using Confluence page, but at this point I think SharePoint is being used. Okay, these are the platforms where you document things, okay, and keep the proper you can say documentation of any task you are performing. For example, let's say I was doing a POC on SonarQube. Okay, so in that case what I used to do, I just like maintain every task, every step, whatever I did, and kept it on that documented over either Confluence or either on SharePoint. Okay, so we would keep it there, and it's like just simply documenting things. Okay, yeah, so that's pretty much the task that I used to do on daily basis. And yeah, so if you are new, you can just note it down somewhere, and if needed you can mention it in your resume as well. But at this point I believe that since I have explained you these things, so you would be able to explain to interviewer as well, and definitely that is good. Okay, so yeah, that's it for today's video, and I hope this video was useful to you. If it was, give it a like. If you are new on the channel, make sure to subscribe. So thanks for watching and have a nice day.